We're in an age of technology where information is at our fingertips, which is absolutely amazing. But we're also at a point where attention is the most valuable thing. So on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, people are getting a lot of misinformation because they're seeing whatever is most attractive to their eye. So if I put out a reel that says how to increase my metabolism, whether it's true or not true, people are going to click on that video and believe whatever the heck it says. So let's talk about that. Hey everyone, and welcome to the I Got This podcast with LEX and MGP. My name is Lex, and I've been a personal trainer over the last 5 years. Martha started her fitness journey with me 3 years ago, and over that time, she's lost over 60 pounds and changed her entire perspective on life. Join us each and every week as we talk about our journey together, healthy lifestyle habits, and of course, the I Got This mentality. Hey everybody, and welcome back to I Got This Pod with Lex and MGP. Today we are continuing our talk on debunking fitness myths. So excited about this one. We got some good ones that I think a lot of people will feel like they have heard in the past or resonate with in terms of something that they may still believe.
Absolutely. I have so many friends that still believe a lot of these ones that we're going to talk about today. And actually, that's where we got a lot of these from.
You asked your kids, you're like, guys, what do you think? Or what have you learned?
I mean, friends, I asked a bunch of different people just randomly. I was actually golfing last night, and I asked some of the ladies I was golfing with, what do you think about? And then wanted to hear what they had to say. So that's where actually our first one came from that we're going to talk about.
That's like the most legitimate poll you could have, asking your friends and family. All right, well, let's get into the good stuff.
Okay, so I have a friend that thinks that she can just detox or juice every time she wants to lose weight.
I think that's a common one. I think that's normal, like juice cleanses, detox teas, all that good stuff. Let's define what those are exactly.
Okay.
So detox teas, do you know the tea that you can get at Meijer? It's literally called detox tea. You have it before
I've seen
bed.
it. I've never tried it. It kind of scares me, to be honest.
It should actually. So, when I was in college, I had a friend with poor digestion and poor enzymes in her gut. And so she had a hard time, going to the bathroom. So if we ever went out the night before and we ate really bad and everything was like stuck inside of you, she would say, hey, have this detox tea. And in the morning, that next day, so you drink that tea at night, you let it ruminate, sit, and after 8 hours you get all the way through that system, and in the morning it's all flowing out of you and you have no control over it. So you would want to make sure that you had that detox tea when you didn't have class in the morning or you didn't have anything or anywhere to go in the morning.
I'm a little scared of that.
Yes. And then a juice cleanse. Juice cleanse is normally, what I've heard, it's like where you drink juice. It's supposed to be like fresh pressed, but I know nobody actually fresh presses their own juice. Like, who legitimately does that? Or it's something that you can buy from an MLM program normally. It's supposedly where you only drink these juices like 3 times a day for your nutrients. So you're not technically fasting for like 2 to 5 days at a time. So you're not eating anything, you are just having these teas or these juices.
Well, of course you're going to lose weight. I mean, everything's out of you.
Exactly. You're fasting. You're basically fasting for 5 days. So let's talk about this real quick. So when I did some research on this, I mean, as a personal trainer, I've always known that I don't believe in juice cleanses or detoxing. The reason being, we have something in our body. It's called your liver. Your liver is a natural detoxifier. Okay. It processes all the food that you eat, everything that you put in your body, all alcohol, not just alcohol. Everybody thinks it's what alcohol only processes. No, it processes everything. And then it separates the good and the bad. And then the bad flushes out of you, right? So your liver is a natural detoxifier. All right, so there was a research done on 15 different products that were sold as detoxes, so branded as detoxes. Okay, and here's what that study found. They found three things. Number one is that no 2 companies use the same definition of a detox. Interesting. Number two is that there was no evidence was offered to back up the detox claims. And number three, there was no coinciding definition of what toxins were, what exactly this detox was getting rid of. So I have a question for
Huh.
you, Martha. Isn't that interesting?
It's a little unnerving, to be honest. It sounds like there's really no regulation on these products. And I would be nervous, not only is it stripping away any toxins, but anything that might be beneficial in my gut as well.
Isn't that interesting? You would think,
Yeah.
you think that it's just, so in reality, it's probably just getting rid of everything that your body might actually need.
Right. It's just emptying you out like a colonic
Mm-hmm.
kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it could actually be messing with your gut biome. So let's
Mhm.
talk about that. So your body naturally detoxes itself. Now, a lot of people think, okay, well, it's because I feel like I'm bloated and something's stuck inside of me, right? Like, okay, well, I need a detox because all of this stuff is stuck in my gut, which is common. Okay. So let's talk about gut health in terms of detoxes. I just want to go down that route. So gut health is very important. So that basically, gut health is your entire digestive system, everything that you eat and how food is processed in your system. Now, again, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian, so I'm just sharing with you the knowledge that I know. And I would always recommend seeing somebody who is certified in this type of thing. And I think I recommended it to you a few weeks ago, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so basically, it's how well your body breaks down food. So if you're feeling like bloated, if you're feeling pain in your stomach, or if you're feeling like gassy, your biome in your stomach or guts may not be processing food properly. There are a few ways to go out around and figuring out what foods work for you and what foods don't. That's the other thing that is very, very important. Again, and I say this every single episode, everybody's body is different. Everybody's body is different. So if I say for my body that my body has a very, very hard time processing grains and dairy, and when I have those two foods, I feel bloated, I feel gassy, and I have a really hard time getting everything out of my system. And then I end up feeling tired because everything that happens in your gut affects your entire well being. And just like I said last episode, what you eat and how your body processes food does affect how you think, how you feel, and how you act. And if your body's not properly processing that food, even though your gut feels constipated, your brain is going to feel foggy. It's all going to kind of mesh together. So you have to figure out what nutrients work for you, what your body processes well, and what makes you feel good. And when you cut out maybe some type of nutrients, maybe yeast bothers you, maybe sugar bothers you, when you start sticking to guidelines that make you feel good, maybe grease bothers you, your gut is going to start working better, and therefore you're going to feel better, and you're not going to have to feel like you have to detox your body. Does that make sense?
It does. And, I was struggling with this probably early a couple months ago, and we did talk about this a lot. And you're right. There are certain things I have figured out that if I eat them, I feel like I have a brick in my stomach versus something that just makes me feel healthy and energetic. So, yeah, this is important, but I do not want to try one of those teas for sure to get rid of
No,
this.
because then you just have the same problem over and over. And it does again. There are healthy probiotics and there are things that your gut needs. And maybe it's
Hmm.
messing with the lining of your system. Like there are so many things that could come from it. Yeah, those teas.
Right.
Um, I'm not going to say I haven't tried them when I don't feel good. We all have, I think. But to depend on it, you're not solving any problems. You're just not. There is one other thing I want to touch on. So sometimes people will also fast for the health, like resetting their insulin levels and everything along those lines. Again, I don't personally recommend fasting, but in certain religions and in certain research, it has said that certain types of fasting for a certain amount of time can be helpful. Again, I do not recommend it if you look into it, but I do have a lot of clients that are certain religions that have done it, and they've seen certain benefits in terms of their blood sugar levels. So like Buddhism, Judaism, Taoism, Hinduism, they all have like certain times where they fast, and you just have to work with that. And I've learned a lot training people that have fasted for those reasons. So that's something that people might think, okay, well, if I'm not detoxing, can I fast? And I just want to bring that up as well, that those are two very different things. And as a personal trainer, I wouldn't recommend it unless you've done a lot of research on it and you've talked to a professional. Let's move on.
Okay. No, that was a good one. So, something that I actually used to think, and I used to do it because I thought it was more effective, is I used to think that the best time to work out was in the morning. So, I used to crimp on sleep so I could get up to go work out because I thought that was the best time. Is it truly the best time, or does it even matter?
Good question. I like that. What do you think? I'm curious. Like, what do you think about that?
Um, Now I don't think it matters when I get my workout in, as long as I get my workout in. But there are times where I knew I had to get it done in the morning because the rest of my day was going to be very filled. Or if I do get it done in the morning, it takes pressure off me the rest of the day to have to worry about getting it in. So it's a mental thing is the best time to get the workout in, but physically, is it the best time?
Perfect. I like it. So, okay, let's talk mentally first. I agree. Mentally, it's the best time to get your workout in mentally, because just like you said, most people feel like after they work out, they have a dopamine rush. And I talked about this on a reel recently. So check out
Mhm.
our page. I got the it's on Instagram. I got this podcast
And TikTok.
and TikTok and shorts. So dopamine is the chemical that's released in your brain that makes you feel accomplished after you complete a task. And when you have something that is difficult for you to get done and is something that you know you really have to get done, and you check that off first thing in the day, you have that dopamine rush. And I think exercise is the best way to get that dopamine rush. And when it's filtered into your system, you feel more accomplished, and then you are going to be more motivated and excited to complete more throughout the day. So mentally, I think it's a great way to start your day. It can also increase your focus. So if you work out in the beginning of the day, you're able to focus on more things later on because you have an increased blood flow, which is not just to your muscles, but also to your brain.
It's a natural energizer for me, to be honest. If I work out first thing in the morning, I feel like I don't need as much coffee afterward.
That's you feel like you're like just alert, right?
Right.
I like that. What I say to my clients sometimes when we work out in the morning, I have them repeat this. I'm alive, I'm awake, I'm alert, I'm enthusiastic, because I think exercise does all of those things for you.
Are you just checking in on them or making them chant it?
I am making them chant it.
Not surprised. Anyway.
No, no. Okay, so that's why I think mentally it's good for you. Let's talk about actual energy levels. So there's a little bit of data that actually proves later on in the day, evening could be better because it takes 20% longer for you to reach exhaustion in the evening when working out versus the morning. But if we break that down, that's obvious because you've eaten more, you've fueled your body more, so therefore you have more fuel to work off of and to use towards that workout. So it's not really debunking this one. It's just, I guess, discussing this one.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
It's harder to get going for me. Not, I know some people are morning people. I do not consider myself a morning person. So it is a little harder for me to get that engine going in the morning. But once I do, the energy definitely lasts the rest of the day.
Yeah. And then you can create, like, if you make it a habit to get up and move your body, if you make it a habit to get up and you move your body, then it becomes easy because your heart rate, when you are used to working out, your heart rate starts rising. It like knows what it's about to do. So your body is prepping for that exercise. You just have to do it a lot to get used to it. I just know that too, after work is hard because like life gets busy,
Mm-hmm.
life gets busy. And then like you're like, okay, well, the day hit me, people needed me. And then I wanted, like, my friends invited me to do something. I didn't want to say no because that fills my cup up. So I think it's the first opportunity you get to work out, you should.
Hmm.
I don't know.
No, I agree. For me, if I have a workout, especially that I'm kind of dreading, and
Hmm.
there are some of those, like someone might have had me run yesterday, I like to get those out of the way as early as possible, so I'm not dreading it all day. Now, if I'm lifting or training with you, those aren't usually ones I'm dreading, so it's okay to do those in the evening. But yeah, if it's something I know I just need to get done, then yeah, I like to get those done as soon as possible. And then I do feel
Right.
accomplished.
And you have to work out in the evening like most of the year because of school. So you said it's
Yeah.
something you look forward to, and I think a lot of
Hmm.
people, I think some people do look forward to exercising. So I think that's a good thing. If it's something that you put at
Hmm.
the end of the day and you're excited about, do it. But I agree with the first thing that you said. It's like whenever works for you. It doesn't really matter when you work out as long as you move your body and you do it, right?
Correct. That's what I've
Yeah.
discovered. All right. This kind of rolls into the next myth that I've heard, and I really don't know what the truth is on this. I've heard a lot of people talk about, they do much better with weight loss or just in general if they do fasted cardio versus having, like, I always thought I had to have a little something, just something light even to get through a hard cardio session. So what's the truth on that, trainer?
Okay, so let's debunk this one. I've heard fasted cardio my entire life. Like you should work out in the morning before you've had anything to eat. Now, that we can easily debunk because there is no science that backs this. Here's what people say. They say that because you have no sugar in your system, they believe doing cardio fasted state will prioritize energy from stored body fat. There is no research to back that. Zero zilch, none. When you work out in a fasted state, you feel like you're actually working harder. You're going to feel more fatigued quicker than you would if you fueled your body. So I would highly recommend eating something small before you work out. So what I would say is actually a simple, like a sugar of sorts, because that's going to
Hmm.
give you a quick jolt of energy. You'll see it on probably if you're in the younger generation, you've probably seen people eat Rice Krispie treats or gummy bears before they work out. There's actually a reason to that because it's quick release sugars. So it gives you that quick boost of energy that your body needs. And it is the first thing that your body will use to push you and give you energy for that workout. I don't think that's necessarily necessary. I don't think a Rice Krispie treat or gummy bears are a good option. I would say maybe go for a banana and some peanut butter or almond butter.
It was the energy balls that I make. That's usually what I'll grab. Is like one or two of those if I'm going to go work out and I haven't eaten. Those work for
that's
me.
that's perfect, and you can do it. I mean, it just depends on how you feel. I eat literally the second before I work out, but that's just because I'm fine. I'm like, okay, this is fine for me. But I have had clients, they were talking about this last week. They were like,
Mhm.
do you ever like get to your workout and you're starving in the middle of your workout? That should never happen because that should just not happen. Number one, the workout's painful. Number two, like what is your body using for fuel? Like what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well,
any questions?
we worked
Oh, go
out.
ahead.
I was gonna say we worked out about a week ago where I hadn't eaten. It was in the morning, and
Mhm.
there was a reason you had me not eat, but I hadn't eaten. I didn't have my coffee. I don't even think I had water other than just to maybe brush my teeth. And you're like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you not getting through this session?" I'm like, "I'm dying. I'm starving. I'm dehydrated." And so that no, I was gonna say that would proves to me that I have to have something, even just a little something. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was not having it that day.
You were the sassiest because your blood sugar was so low. Your glucose levels were so low. I was like, oh my God, why is she in such a mood? And then I have a client who she's like, I have this happen actually all the time. So I always ask my clients, if it's not you, you're in a pretty strict routine, you know that you have to eat before you work out. But a lot of
Mhm.
people will come in to train with me at 6 and then they're like, whoa, I feel a little woozy, or oh my God, I'm like a little nauseous after this hard workout, or like during this hard workout, and I'll ask them what time they ate. They go noon. It's been 6 hours. 6 hours. And they probably had a salad for lunch. not enough to get your brain working through work for 5 more hours and then to get you driving to the gym and then to the gym for a workout. They are so low on fuel. They don't have enough. So I always get into the habit of asking my clients, hey, when's the last time you ate? Like, when's the last time you drank water? And it's just something that you have to get into the habit and the routine of quick something in my body before I move into this. So I'm fueled and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you can feel it physically when you don't have. Well, there's a fine balance for me. If I've eaten too heavy of a meal at lunch and then go to work out, that's just as bad, I think. So
Yeah.
for me, at least.
Or if you eat something that's like acidic or greasy or bad for you, and then you go to go work out and it's like sitting there. I had a client that ate chicken wings, grilled chicken wings, loaded in barbecue sauce and ranch, and then came to work out 30 minutes later and he did almost throw up. I did not know what to say. That's so funny. But so you have to make sure what you're eating to fuel yourself is nutritionally dense so that when you go to work out, you can process that food and use it for fuel for your workout.
Yeah. I mean, it's gotten to the point now, even if I have, we'll call it an off path meal in an evening and I'm working out with you first thing the next morning, it's bad. It's that keeps me on the straight and narrow half the time anyway, because that carries even though it might be 12 hours later. So,
I know. And think about it, and you know how I feel about alcohol, but think about even when alcohol is in your system and you're using like that sitting in your stomach and it's literally just like processing and then you're sweating that out. That's like a horrible feeling too. Like that's not fuel. It's crazy.
mm-mm.
Oh, this is interesting though. I did find this out. If you haven't, I know you've heard of Tim Grover, but if you guys have not heard of Tim Grover, he is one of the best coaches. He has trained Dwayne Wade, Magic Johnson, so many elite athletes. And he said, what he gives his athletes after a really intense workout or a game or something that they push their body to the limit, they give them a beer.
Hmm.
And the reason being is because it's carbs and their body is like completely low on carbs. So they'll give them that as soon as they finish like this really intense workout. Now, just remember, we aren't working out to that level. So I don't think you should go drink a beer after you work out unless you are pushing your body to the brink of exhaustion. And guess what? Most of us are not doing that. So just saying.
I, I don't know. There's been a couple times. You've never given me a beer, but whatever.
I think yeah, I don't regret that.
The next time we're running a 5K, expect a beer. Anyway.
Yes.
All right. So, kind of going along even with this, a lot of my friends will ask me, well, do you have to count calories to lose weight? Have you had to count calories the whole time, for the last 3-4 years that you've been on this journey? Doesn't that get tedious? Oh, well, you can count calories because you're a math teacher. It's easy for you. I've heard that one a couple times.
Are you
So
serious?
it's not that hard of numbers, people. But anyway, counting calories. Do you have to count calories to lose weight? And I have my own opinions on this, but what do you think? What do you got?
Great. Oh, wait. I'm curious what your opinions are. Go ahead.
Well, I actually, the first probably year and a half to 2 years of this journey, did not count calories at all. I just focused on making better choices or what I thought were better choices. And in the beginning, really didn't even focus on nutrition. We just focused on getting moving and trying to make better choices. Then we started taking pictures of foods and you would see what I was eating, but we weren't counting calories. And then you would kind of say, well, oh, I really like the salad you had, or was that bowl of ice cream really necessary, or whatever. And then when I got into a pattern where I was stalling and we needed to stimulate some muscle growth, we wanted to focus on protein. And in that time, we did start counting calories ish. It was more I was watching my protein intake versus carbs and fats. So the calorie counting came into that, but it wasn't just strict calorie counting. It wasn't just I have to hit a certain number of calories. Who cares what the food, what it's coming from? It was more the nutritional choices for me. So do you have to count calories to lose weight? Absolutely not. Do you need to be aware of what you're putting in your body? For sure. That would be my opinion on it.
I agree with you 100%. 100%. There are a few things I want to touch on. I've said this a few times in podcasts in the past, so if this is your first time listening, I do not believe that a calorie deficit is a great way to see results for women who have had children or are postmenopausal or their hormones have changed. So I have seen a lot of women who are actually eating too little and are malnutrition and have actually gained weight for that reason. Scientifically, I wish I could back that up as to why. I will come back. I've been prepping for an episode on that, so that is coming. But normally, when I start with a client, it's just learning it's just about choosing better options and making the
Mm-hmm.
best option when you're in the moment and choosing foods that fuel your health and wellness versus fueling your sickness and things that are going to make you not feel good. So 90% of the time when I start with a client, they know it's healthy and they know it's not healthy. I ask them, what's an on-path meal for you? They say 90% of the time they say chicken and rice. And then I have to ask them for a different option because that is not the only healthy meal. Then they go like eggs and avocado and something along those lines. And I'm like, yes, what's an unhealthy option or an off-path meal? And it's always fries. They say fries every single time. So then I dig deep. It's like, okay, well, it's deep fried food. It's food that is desserty, like cake, like Hershey's Kisses, like that type of thing, processed food. So then once they start to recognize on path of off path, the goal is to make more choices that are on path than off path. Once you start to make those healthier choices, you're going to start to see results. So no, you do not need to start counting calories to see results. You just need to make sure the foods that you're eating are nutritionally dense. And then the majority of your meals are going to be better for you. So nutrition density is what you start focusing. Now, then we did move you to macro counting, which is, yes, similar to calorie counting. I like it for two reasons. Number one, it allows you to understand what you're putting in your body. So the average person doesn't know that one egg has 60 calories in it and a certain amount of protein in it. And then when it's fried, it's slightly more because there are extra fats in it. But when you start to understand what you're putting in your body, you can make educated decisions. So I have people sometimes macro count just so they're aware of what they're putting in their body. I don't think it's a long-term solution to fat loss or anything along those lines. The next thing is macro counting. That's breaking down your fats, your proteins, and your carbs. Again, this is a great way to see what you're putting in your body. A lot of people are eating way more carbs than they realize. And to build muscle, and again, we know muscle helps you increase your metabolism, helps you burn more calories overall. So that's going to help you. When you build muscle, that's when you start losing fats, right? So protein helps you do that. So that's how you start to measure, okay, you need more protein in your diet, or sometimes you're having too much, which was something we were realizing with you. No, you do not need to count calories to get results. Everybody's body is different. If you see a result with that, that's freaking awesome. Good for you. But guess what? For a lot of women, that is not going to work. You got to actually eat consistently the right things to get a result. And welcome to my
Yeah.
Lex talk.
Well, I mean, with calories too, counting calories for me, I really wasn't sure where I was at. Was I under eating? Was I overeating? It kind of just opened my eyes a little bit to get a feel for it. But right, do I want to do this forever and ever? No. It's exhausting sometimes trying to fit everything in or trying to count it all. The one thing too, with respect to the macros, talk about some myths there. You always hear, oh, peanut butter is a great source of protein. Look at those labels. Not so much. It's really a great source of fat, not protein.
Yes, yes.
So that's a little eye opening. So if you do end up counting macros, it's things like that you become aware of. Same with, avocados are super healthy. Yeah, but they're a fat. Eggs, even eggs you think are a great source of protein. Actually, there's more fat in an egg than protein. So it's a balance there. So those are just kind of some of the things I learned during my journey with macro counting. I'm actually taking a break from calorie counting and macro counting right now and just eating it kind of intuitively and making sure that I'm making choices based on, does this feed my body in a healthy way? And sometimes, does it feed my soul because someone made me my favorite dessert and I'm going to have once a year? So that's kind of where I've headed to right now. And we'll see how that goes for the next few
And
months.
I think honestly, I think intuitive eating was a fad. It was actually a fad. These words tend to come in
Mm-hmm.
fads. on TikTok and on Reels and all that good stuff, they are literally like, okay, I focus on intuitive eating and this is my holistic approach. Like, well, you can't talk about that until you define what that means, right?
Hmm.
And I think that bothers me is, okay, we talk about intuitive eating, but we don't define exactly what that is. Intuitive eating means you eat when you're hungry and you stop when you're full. And listening to those cues can be slightly difficult when you've been ignoring them for your entire life. So, intuitive eating is something that I 100% support, but you can't intuitive eat unless you know what you're putting in your body and what's going to make you feel good. So it's a process. All these different things of nutrition, like I think nutrition is hard for every single human, and we all are going to get off path, but it's just like you said, you're intuitively eating and focusing, okay, what's going to make me feel good right now and in the long term, mentally and physically, and then what's going to fill up my cup. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's just like interesting, all the fads that come up on TikTok, and everyone's saying you should macro count, you should fast, you should detox, and then do this, and then you need more protein. Like that is so overwhelming to the brain. It's honestly, nutrition wise, like you have to find what works for you. And that does mean exploring. It really does. Again, I
Hmm.
don't think keto is the best option. I really don't. I don't know who. I only know one person it's worked for. And guess what? It worked wonders for her. And I'm so happy for her. But as a personal trainer, that's one person. And she had to explore a lot of different things before she found what worked for her. So that's the biggest thing. It's like finding what works for you, finding, and then when it stops working, how are you going to continue to see results? And that's a struggle as well. So I think there's nothing wrong with asking for help. There's nothing wrong with getting help from a nutritionist, dietitian, a trainer, a coach, somebody just to keep you accountable.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And I would not have been able to even approach intuitive eating until I had done some of these other things. Because obviously, if I could just listen to hunger cues and eat, only when I was hungry or whatever, I would never have been in the unhealthy state that I was in to begin with.
Right. Well, hunger cues also, I let's go back to that real quick. Like when you eat poorly, when you eat things that are not nutritionally dense, your hunger cues are going to ramp up all the time. You're hungry because you're not getting any vitamins and minerals in your body to fuel your brain. So therefore, like when you have like I got to say, I have a whole bag of chips sitting here because somebody said it at my house, the Ravy Ruffle ones, and I never eat chips. I ate half of the bag because my hunger cue, like I was never full. I was never satiated. I was never satisfied. And what those chips do is they make them like really, really greasy and salty. So as soon as you eat them, it's addicting to your brain. So you want more,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm fueling my body with something that's not even going to help me. So how can I accurately listen to hunger cues when I'm eating poorly? So if I eat that entire bag of chips and I'm like, I'm still hungry, well, all I have in my house, let's say, is, I don't know, freaking Twinkies. I mean, who's eating Twinkies? I don't know, but,
Do those
or
even
ice cream.
exist
Do they? I think they
anymore?
did take them
I don't
away,
know.
right? You're right. I don't even know. But something that's mac and cheese, like the Kraft mac and cheese box.
Hmm.
I used to have that all the time because it was super easy and so freaking good, right? I used to eat that like 3 times a week, and it was quickly available to me. But guess what? Also not fueling me, because it's got all these artificial flavors, and there's again no nutritional density. So therefore, I'm hungry again. So sorry, I'm going off on this one, but how can
No,
I
it's true.
lift you? Yeah, how can you listen to hunger cues if your hunger cues are out of whack?
Right. And a lot of that packaged food, whether it's chips, and isn't that even the slogan for Lay's potato chips? You can't just eat one. I mean, that's their slogan. But all that food has been made hyper palatable by the companies. So once you have a bite, you literally can't stop. You can't just, who could just go and have one Oreo?
Isn't it funny too? You know that saying where that says people tell you exactly who they are? Well, it seems like brands do too. You're just refusing not
Yeah.
to listen.
Right, exactly. So that's the kind of food, you're right. I would eat that kind of stuff in the past. And you could, you eat that half a bag of chips and you've just thrown 600 calories down without even trying. And you're not satisfied at all. It's not
No,
satiating food. But you could eat, to
exactly.
eat 600 calories of like lettuce, you'd be stuffed. So it's a completely different thing. And they've processed that food. You could never eat a whole bag of potatoes. It wouldn't be possible. But by making them into chips, boy, you could throw them down. So,
Yes,
right.
yeah. I think when you think of your unhealthiest, like I was definitely a binge eater growing up. My dad would bring home Endelman treats, like they were the baked goods. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Entenmann's, the bakery. Yes.
Yes. And he'd bring home like stacks of those. And I would get, and it was at the end of the night. And you know how everyone always says, well, I need something sweet to finish off my night.
Mhm.
That is a trained habit. So every single night when I was in like high school, going such a bad habit, I would eat like half of an Entenmann's pastry in those giant, like 12-inch boxes. And so it's like the one thing that you have to remember, I had a conversation with this client, a client about this today. Remember, you should not feel bad about these habits because, and it's not a placing of blame on our parents because guess what? They didn't know what they were creating. You have to remember these habit loops are caused from a very young age. As children, our parents brought home poor foods. And so as soon as we had that, my mom always says, you know, I want to end the night with something sweet. So as our parents brought home these treats, and then the habit loop was, okay, I'm sad, so I'm going to eat. Or it's before bed, I'm going to eat this specific type of food. Just remember that these habit loops are not your fault. These habit loops were caused when you were a child, and they can be broken. But just remember when you move back into them, because sometimes in life we do, it's not your fault. And I think a lot of people place a lot of blame and say, oh, I'm disgusting. I can't believe I'm doing this to myself. And I'm really ashamed to share that with my coach or people around me that I'm trying to get help from. It's guess what? Coaches and good coaches are never judging you because they know, guess what? This is not your fault. This is something you have been trained to do from a very young age. And all we can do as adults and as parents is to train our children better. So we learn and we grow, and we just remember when you fall to patterns or fall to old behaviors, or when you've been trained to go out and get fast food because you're hungry or because it's a reward and it's a treat. We're on the road, we had a long day, or we were at a soccer game. I'm going to go get fast food because that's my reward, and I always get that. And you go back into that habit. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just, how are we going to change this habit, reroute it, so when we raise our children or when we focus on ourselves, we know what to do and how to change these habits through education.
Exactly. On our first episode, Debunking Myths, we talked a little bit about weight loss, and I know that we got a lot of questions about that since then, and you wanted to take a minute, Lex, and clarify some of that.
I did. I am going to steal this analogy from a coworker of mine. I explained how you cannot spot reduce fat. And I didn't really like my analogy. The simplest analogy I can say is, think about a swimming pool. When you take a big bucket of water out of that swimming pool and you toss it onto the grass, the level of the swimming pool does not go down in just that one area that you took that water out. It goes down in the entire swimming pool, right? That density decreases. So that's how fat loss works. You cannot spot reduce fat. And that's how I wanted to give that analogy and clarify.
Yeah, because we do get a lot of people still asking about.
All right, guys. Well, this was a good episode. Thank you all so much for listening. We keep finding, I was at the gym and another girl said, I listen to your podcast. I was like, so shout out to Deshari for listening. Thank you. We're pumped about it. And I'm like, oh my God, people are listening. This is wild. I'm shocked. So guys, thank you so much. This has been a fun one.
And if you have any more things you're not sure about, whether it's fact or fiction, we'll be glad to discuss it, and we'll get Lex's take on it. So keep sending us stuff, send us the DMs, make sure to follow us on all the socials. And until next time, I got this. Hey guys, thanks for listening this week. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to podcasts. For more I Got This content, please make sure to follow, like, and share on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or you can always go to our website, igotThisPod.com, for more info. As always, thanks for listening. See you next Monday.